progress. Recording stopped.
Mentioned that before.
Right.
So,
Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, good evening. It's Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. This is Aspen Pitkin County Housing Authority regular scheduled meeting. First order on the agenda is call the meeting to order. So we're in order. I'd like to, next item is roll call.
Okay. John Ward,
Present.
John Doyle,
Here.
Peter Grinney,
Present.
Oh, Pete's here.
Kelly McNicholas Curry,
I'm online today. Hi, everybody.
Hello, Kelly.
okay, and I believe everybody else is out, so that's it.
All right, we have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is agenda amendments as requested. Do we have some tonight?
No.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anybody here from the public? Ooh, I don't know if we can consider you public, Sarah. Come on up.
Okay.
State your name, please.
Sure. I'm Sarah Autumn, the city manager of Aspen, Colorado. I'm here before you to follow up on a conversation we had earlier this year regarding a requested audit of a particular enforcement case in the Woody Creek subdivision. Specifically, I'd like to be able to share those findings with the APCHA board, and there's some steps that I need the APCHA board to do in order to be able to do that. The individual who prepared the report is legal counsel of the city of Aspen, and it was produced under attorney-client privilege for the city of Aspen. In order to make that information available to the APCHA board, I'm requesting that APCHA board appoint Kate Johnson as special counsel in matters related to 209 Woody Creek subdivision, and to direct Matthew to schedule an executive session with Ms. Johnson so that material can be shared with you.
Do we need to do that in session today, appoint her as special counsel?
I believe you can do it by motion today, because you're not actually discussing the case, but you are creating an avenue to make the appointment happen so she can.
What was her name again? Sarah?
Kate Johnson.
Kate Johnson. I will move to appoint Kate Johnson as special counsel to the APCHA Board of Directors.
I'll second.
All those in favor, or we're going to do a roll call vote because we got Zoom.
Okay. John Ward,
Yes.
John Doyle,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
and Peter.
Yes.
I do have a question. Do we have to, rescind that special counsel at any point in time? And when the matter is completed?
You certainly can. Yeah, we view the scope of this as being limited to 209 Woody Creek subdivision. We are not in a position that the city wants to provide legal counsel to this board. You have a
Should
qualified
I
attorney
amend
to
my
do that.
motion to specific to
It
that?
certainly would probably help provide that clarity she's asking for.
So let's amend my motion to limit it to, what was it again?
209 Woody Creek.
209 Woody Creek. The unit at 209 Woody Creek. Do I have a second on the amended motion?
I will second.
Further discussion? All right, let's do a roll call vote again.
Okay. John Ward,
Yes.
John Doyle,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
and Kelly.
Yes, thank you.
All right, the motion as amended has passed. And Peter, do you want to, or Matthew, do you want to create a executive session in the next APCHA board meeting for that?
Yes, sir.
Perfect,
Do that as
thank
soon
you.
as we can. Yep.
Great. And then just in that session, just so the board can be prepared, is an opportunity for the board to review materials, and then you'll be able to make a decision about whether you want to waive attorney-client privilege on those
Okay.
for public use. Just in the current status, we don't believe we could do that as the municipality on behalf of APCHA.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Do I have any further comment, any other public comment? Oh, they missed the fireworks. I'm gonna, comment going once, going twice. Public comment is over. Next item on the agenda is executive director's comments. Matthew.
We need,
APCHA board
You're gonna
comment.
Oh, director comments, sorry.
You want-
I'm
yeah.
off of it today. I have no comment today. John, do you have comments?
None. Thanks.
Kelly? Is Kelly still there? She's not on the screen anymore. There she
There
is.
she is.
Sorry, I had to step away momentarily. Were you asking if I had comments?
Yep, board member comments?
None at the moment, thank you.
Peter?
Oh, wait, sorry.
Oh, sorry,
No,
Kelly,
thank you.
back.
Just in response to Allison's resignation due to her joining county staff. Please be quiet. Can we just get a refresher of what that process is? I can't remember if that was a joint appointment or if that was a city or county appointment. Thank you.
Sarah's raising her hand.
Sure, I've made a request to the county manager's office about whether they will run the advertising process to fill that vacancy. I've suggested it as possibly doing the interviews at the joint meeting of city council and the BOCC in September, if that process could start fairly quickly here. I'm just waiting to hear back on that. Alternatively, what happens is those applications typically come in to the county manager's office for processing, and then the county would do interviews and forward a slate to the city of potential, not everyone that they necessarily endorse, but being clear about where their preferences may be. Then city council would do those interviews, and each board individually has to pass a resolution for the appointment. So we can do it pretty quickly. We just need to get started on the advertising.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Anything else, Kelly?
Nope, that was it. Thank you.
Peter, board member comments.
Yeah, just to thank you, dovetail on to Kelly's comment or question bringing up Allison. I'm just curious if we can learn more about the county's housing department. Just with Andrew and Allison leaving APCHA, just curious what the county's housing program is going to look like.
Just to let you know, Allison is not with the housing. She's the communications director. She's not
Okay.
part of the housing with Pitkin County.
Okay.
Okay.
but John, I mean Peter, sorry, further to too many Johns. Further to your question, I do talk to Ashley Pearl, who is head of the housing, Pitkin County Housing, quite a bit, and she has indicated that she does want to come say hi and explain things, so I can arrange that with her. But we do work closely. But if you want her to come, I'm sure she'd love to come and introduce herself more formally and discuss some of the stuff they're doing. So I'm happy to organize that.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Yeah.
a great thing to do. Come talk about some of the projects. You guys got a bond issue too, right, Kelly? That's coming up, or something. Ballot question. Property tax. So, it'd be great to know. It'd be great to know Phillips Curve and some of the other stuff that the county's acquired in the last few years and where that's going. So, okay.
Yeah, just to add to that, we're hearing, it's great, we're hearing from the Western Mountain Regional Housing Coalition, and I think it's always helpful to just kind of learn what these different groups and jurisdictions are doing.
All right. No other board members to comment?
Kelly.
Sorry, John. Can I jump in again? I'm sorry. I'm not organized, so I'm just remembering things one by one. I do want to see if there is an interest in carving out some time on a future agenda for presentation about what the housing tax ballot measure is, what it's asking the voters for, and how that's envisioned to be. And so it probably makes the most sense to do that in September or October. And then I also want to sorry. And then I also just want to let you know that I think Francie and I are going to have a conflict on September 18th because John Ely's memorial is that evening, and I know we both would like to attend that. So if there is another possible date for the board to meet, we would much appreciate this special circumstance. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'll leave that up to executive director. And I think getting the Pitkin County to come back, talk about the housing, talk about your ballot question. I mean, that's probably all in one fell swoop. I think it makes a lot of sense. So, okay, thank you, Kelly. Matthew, ED comments.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Matthew Gillen, Executive Director. So we've been out and about in the community a fair amount, APCHA. So I want to thank John Doyle, who stopped by the APCHA booth at the farmers market back in July. So we really enjoyed that. The secret was having bowls for dogs to stop by, so that was the way to lure people in. And then we had a coffee morning for APCHA residents with a view. We particularly invited HOAs, gave them a chance to meet Meg. I wanted to thank Ward for stopping by that. That was great. And of course, everybody on the APCHA staff would like to thank Allison for her service and her contribution. It's a very important job being a community member, and you don't get paid for it, so it's really a sacrifice. So really appreciate Allison's service for that. The newsletter came out this last week, and that was Meg's first time. I think it looked great. And so we'll be looking to do that again before Christmas. The hearing officer bid has been posted. We'll be doing a open information session at the beginning of September to give people the opportunity to ask any questions, and that closes later in September. I gave it a fair amount of time just because it's summer and people are away, so I gave it more time.
Where does something like that get posted?
It's on BidNet on the city.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is up. And then in your packet, you'll also see a short memo from me just memorializing the fact that we have taken and discussed the board's feedback on compliance. We've discussed that internally, memorialized it in our internal guidance, and that is to make sure that we go after a little harder repeat offenders and people are making monetary gain. So I just wanted to highlight that for the board, that we have discussed that and we've taken on the board's guidance on that. We have a new position starting on Monday. That's a partial replacement for Andrew. And then as you'll see in the budget discussion later on, sort of the more business analyst, policy analyst side of the job, we'd be asking for a full-time position for that. We had a long session today with Tom Smith about the new tenant laws in Colorado, which are now active, which provide tenant protection much more in line with the rest of the country, and how that is going to affect our operations. I think it's actually going to be good for everybody. There's a much more formal notice that we have to give our tenants when they are breaking a lease, and so there'll be much better documentation as opposed to emails from us. There's a standard form that is filled out listing the offense, and that's purely for documentation documentation, which may then lead to a conflict between the tenant and the landlord, in this case us. But it lays it out very clearly what every party needs to be done, and if that form isn't filled out, there is no documentation, and so it has to be filled out. So you may hear when we start doing these forms and giving them to people, there may be a perception that we are coming down hard on tenants, when in fact the exact opposite is true. There is more protection now for tenants, and this is just a more formal process for Colorado. But none of the APCHA regulations are changing. We also solicited feedback from the coffee morning. We went over some of the things the APCHA residents and owners were worried about, so I just wanted to go over those a little bit for the board. People are very concerned about skyrocketing home insurance rates, the availability of contractors to do work. They suggested a forum for HOAs to talk amongst themselves, which we've discussed with Meg, and she'll be trying to come up with some ideas that to help HOAs talk to each other. There's also a feeling among some of the older residents that they'd like to leave the program, but they can't afford to. So that, we've heard that before. It's difficult for them to find a comparable living situation elsewhere, or even within the valley. And then also the appreciation, is AMI the right thing? So it's a lot of stuff we've heard before. So those are some of the issues we had from the coffee morning. Now, the other thing I put in the packet was a memo, again, bringing up the discussion is if this board would like to meet once a month rather than twice a month. We probably won't be able to get a consensus on that tonight, but we can bring it up again. But I put a memo in the packet just for discussion about that. And one of the points in there is it would be easier for community members to come probably once a month rather than twice a month. And that I did not have any forewarning that Allison would be resigning. That is a complete coincidence. That's in there. So we can discuss that now, but we're a little thin on the ground, so maybe not tonight.
Well, I'm humping over here at 4 o'clock. To me, it's harder to get here at 4. What was our reasoning for moving to 4? I don't remember why we moved from 4.
From
5 to 4.
when? From 5?
We've
5
been at
o'clock
4
to
for
4.
quite a while.
Yeah, the whole time I've been here, it's been
Yeah.
4. I don't know.
I don't
I'll check.
remember
I'll
that.
check all the minutes
I
going
thought it
back
was 5
years,
o'clock,
but yeah. Well, that had been
well,
at
it
3.
feels like
when we had
earlier. It's a
special
hump to get over here at 4 o'clock
Yeah.
when you got a real job.
Yeah.
But
John Ward, can I ask a question of
Sure.
Matthew?
yep,
Just I promise I was listening, but if
Yeah.
you wouldn't mind repeating what you said prior to talking about the analyst job position. You said, we listen to the board.
Oh, it was
and
just
we are
the discussion.
something about the repeat offenders.
Peter, it was the discussion we had about compliance, and I outlined the compliance program. There was a discussion, and the board expressed an opinion that people benefiting monetarily from abuse of the program or repeat offenders should be given special attention under the compliance program. So I just wanted to assure the board that we've had that discussion and we've memorialized it in our internal guidance.
Okay.
okay. Cindy, you've got notifications, rentals, sale units.
We haven't had any new rental units come up, or even though we still have some units that are empty, but we're getting fuller. We're hoping that by sometime in September, Truscott is going to be totally full, and Aspen Country Inn is going to be totally full. So we're getting closer.
May I say something?
Yes.
And that part of that is due to the fact that we're no longer checking people's immigration status. We have had several people who probably would not have qualified this time last year, so we are filling up some of our LIHTC properties that way, which is great.
And we haven't had any ownership units available, but Pam is on vacation. She's due back the first part of September, so we should be having a couple of units that we'll be advertising the first part of September. So again, sign up for notifications. Be sure that if you're interested in ownership, that you sign up for those notifications. And if you are interested in the units that the Housing Authority manages, please sign up for notifications for that as well.
Okay, thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent calendar. The one item we've got on here is the minutes of, minutes of last July 17th meeting. We've got a second reading here coming up too, but I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second. Do I have a discussion? And I think the minutes pretty well summed up kind of what you talked about as far as, Carson's comments on repeat offenders and kind of the major offenses that we should be we really should be chasing. So with that, roll call vote to approve the minutes.
Okay. Peter,
Yes.
Kelly,
I'm gonna abstain since I wasn't there.
John,
Yes.
and John.
Yes. All right. Next item on the agenda is second reading and public hearing of the amended Aspen Pitkin County Housing Regulations Resolution Number 5, Series of 2024. Bethany. And she's there.
I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have, but since it has been a little while, this regulation change is to require that applicants provide the most recent 4056T from a third party for the most recently or current filed year of tax transcripts. Happy to answer any questions. If not, it's on page 17 of the regulations.
So just to confirm, the reason for the transcript is we want to compare it against the tax return we're collecting too, or what?
That is correct. It was, my understanding was it was requested by members of the board to ensure that applicants are providing us valid tax transcripts, and there was some concern that we were getting fraudulent tax returns, and so by getting the actual transcript from the IRS, this would ensure that we are receiving the actual filed return.
So we got I'll motion to approve as a second reading, the public hearing proposed regulation change tax transcripts, resolution number 5, series of 2024, adopting amendments to the Aspen Pitkin County Housing Authority regulations. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion?
I would know, is this a public hearing?
It is. You have to open it up for public comment.
Okay. Well, should we do that before we motion? Because there isn't much public comment. I was going to go to discussion of board members, but, so, go ahead, Kelly.
I don't have any discussion. I just, normally we take, in case someone made some public comment that swayed our opinion on this, I usually wait to hear that before I do my own discussion or vote. So if there's not public comment, you can close it. But that's
Yeah,
what I
no,
was hoping.
we can open it up for public comment, and have a discussion, but it doesn't look like we've got any comment.
There's none in the room.
I don't have any discussion. This is straightforward. We've talked about this in the past.
I have a question. I believe this is probably more work plan related, but if we're discussing regulations, we heard at the last meeting and it had a subsequent email from a member of the public about what's happened with 3-bedroom units being awarded to
It's have nothing to do with that.
people, just one occupant. And we had a brief discussion about how it's always been that income has been a higher priority than occupancy. I think I have that right. I just wonder when we can revisit that discussion and talk about ideas to figure out how with those Hunter Creek units, if that's where it's isolated to happening, how we can figure out how to get more occupants in there, those units.
Well, I think it comes down to land use code.
This really is not a discussion for this meeting. This is not part of this. We can bring this back at a later date this year when we're talking about some different regulation changes that we need to get done.
But it's not, I mean, it's truly land use code. Those units were
There's specific categories. Yeah.
certain categories and what they are, and so to do any changes outside a category, it's got to go back to the approval board, right? Probably the city at this point.
That's a possibility. I would have to check with legal counsel on that. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Further discussion on the regulation change? All right, roll call vote?
Okay. John Doyle,
Yes.
John Ward,
Yep.
Kelly,
Yes.
and Peter.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the Finalize the 2025 Work Plan. Matthew.
Everyone, in the packet, you'll see, a graphic description of the board discussion, which you had a couple weeks ago about the work plan. Happy to answer any questions. I think we did a good job capturing what the board wanted to do. Like I said, happy to answer any questions, or if you'd like to, I'd prefer not to do any edits so we can get this finished tonight, but of course that is up to you guys. So I'm gonna see what else you wanted to talk about with this. So this is the work plan from the IGA. It's flexible. You can revisit again if you wish. It's just a aspirational document of what the things we're going to be trying to do with the board over the next year.
Do we have my thought is a timeline for this. Are we going to tackle certain categories first part of 25 and work through it, or what's our?
I don't think we got that far, John. A lot of it comes up fairly organically.
We've talked a lot about the affordability study
Yeah.
and rental rates, right?
Right, and that's
A big part for me is the repair program, figuring out, we brought it up, contractors available to
Right.
do work, figuring out
Right.
affordable ways to maintain and fix current units.
and that's all under the improved sustainability. So there's quite a bit there about assessing the results from the capital reserve studies, repair grant program, and then working with the HOAs.
Kelly,
looking at their needs.
sorry, your hand up?
Can you remind me, does the work plan go to the city and the county for approval as part, like, do we do that every year? You'd think I would know by now. Sorry.
I don't think so, Kelly.
I think the strategic plan
Yeah.
does, but not the work plan.
I thought that was part of our IGA that we
So
went.
the budget and the strategic plan are what come before us.
I thought that was
The
part of our
ones.
IGA, was we were supposed to design a work plan
Yeah,
every
yeah,
year.
that is. But then it does. I don't think it then goes. It's your work plan.
And then we just present it to Sarah?
I will have to check that. Let me pull up the IGA. We can have a look.
Seems very thorough.
Great. All right.
You did a nice job, John. Excellent board.
All right. I've got the work plan.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're really getting things done.
Sorry, the IGA is not searchable because it's a
Well,
PDF.
you can't post that on a public website anymore, can you?
We'd have to redo it.
Yeah, probably not.
It has bold in it. We have to take bold out. It's. I can't remember.
Well, it's probably, I think you'd like to present it to your board at some point too, wouldn't you, Kelly? At least somebody, what we're working on. The city should know too, the city, your board members as well.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, to review and make.
Particularly with just the budget jump, it always helps
Yeah, well-
to explain what we've done and what we endeavor to do, I think.
To review and make recommendations to the city and county with respect to the strategic plan, annual work plan / budget. Yeah. But it doesn't say you have to, but we're happy to do that. Kelly, if you want that in the, when I come October 5th, I will put this as part of the packet for the county.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. Do we need a motion to approve this?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Probably should have done a resolution.
John, can I just ask
Sure,
one
Peter.
question?
Yep.
Under community engagement, I know we have onboarding and outreach coordinator to work with the HOAs.
No, we don't.
Wondering about doing a survey of the existing APCHA residents, just to understand their perspective on how APCHA is working for them, and what ideas they may have for improvement.
Peter, you're stealing my ideas, because next week when we talk about the strategic plan, that is something I've talked to a couple consultants on how to run a strategic plan, and that is, one of the ideas is a community survey. So yeah, that's a very good idea, which we've been discussing, and we'll probably do that in conjunction with the 5-year strategic plan.
Well, would that be an ongoing survey? Something
It would be a
where
one-time thing this time, and then the city has redone their survey, I don't know, platform, I don't know what you call it, but we do have more options now for surveys, so that's something else we can explore.
The city used to do an annual survey.
They still do, they've
And they
redone it.
had every single department where they had certain questions on every single department. I am not sure if they're still, Liz, do you know if they're still doing
They-
that community-wide survey?
They are, but they're doing it
That has
differently.
specifically departments that they ask about, how is this department doing, how is this department?
They are, and, yeah, but I'm not completely aware of how they're developed.
Okay, I know that they used to do that.
I took that survey, and it is pretty long, but it's not really specific to
Right.
APCHA residents.
They do have more capacity now for surveys, which they'll be rolling out through the end of the year. Carolyn Zachariason at the City Communications is very aware of it. We meet with her twice a month, so I'll bring it up with her on how to do that.
Well, I'll motion to approve the work plan as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do I have further discussion? All those in favor, let's do a roll call vote again.
Okay. Peter,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
John Ward,
Yes.
John Doyle.
Yes.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the review of the 2025 APCHA operating budget. And it looks like, Matthew, you're up again.
Yeah, so this is, we're talking about this in August, and that's a direct result. I mean, you guys wanted to be further involved with the process and discuss it earlier in the season, not be presented with a fait accompli in December. We'll do a resolution in December, but I just wanted to walk you through the budget request as it stands right now. There's 3 sort of extra things we're doing, and that's the folding the essential home repairs program into the budget request this year, as opposed to previously where it was a supplemental. So that's page 94 of the packet. That's $200,000 from each body. So that's year 2 of the pilot program. Then we're doing a supplemental request of $100,000 to redo the APCHA website, which needs to be scraped and replaced. And then the third supplemental request is a housing policy position. Right now, APCHA uses about 60% of Liz's time. Liz is actually part of the city manager's office, and we believe with the with the various programs that APCHA has in the pipeline and analysis reporting, hopefully give you guys better analysis. We think that would be an extremely useful addition, and that will also have a lot of the what do we call it, implementation role, which Liz has been doing for pilot programs. So that would be the capital repairs, phase 2, any other pilot programs we come up with. So those are the 3 sort of extra things. And then also in my presentation to the City Council, which I'll be doing in October, I also take that opportunity using these slides to highlight in just a couple minutes some of the things we've been working on. So the Essential Repairs Pilot Program, the APCHA-funded capital reserve studies, outreach in the media, And we kind of couch that in terms of, you know, the three main priorities are sustainability of the housing program going forward, internal efficiency, and then also just communicating with the public and telling the story. And we've done that very successfully with all the outreach I highlighted earlier in my comments, and then also a monthly column in the newspaper, which Carson or I write. And Liz, I'm forgetting, Liz wrote one of the columns recently as well. So happy to answer any questions. That's where it stands right now. And then, you know, there's the expenditure slide and the revenue slide, which will be part of the presentation to the city in October.
So what, you know, looking at your, was it page 91, your revenues projected?
Yeah.
Why in 2025, I mean, I can see we've got, you project out a 6% increase
Yeah.
from 26, 27, 28, 29, but why in 2025 is that 300 grand higher,
Because that
600 grand, I guess?
Yeah, because that's the the Essential Repairs Grant Program was not part of that number because we came to both bodies separately last year. So this year it's included in the overall budget, plus the new position.
Well, why wouldn't we continue to paint that out for the next 5 years?
We could do that. We could do that. That isn't in there. That is not in there right now, but we
To
can.
me, and I think I've made these comments before,
Yeah.
but a repair program, a subsidy type program for across all categories is something that really needs to be considered, needs to be talked about at both levels of county, or city and county government. Because, you know, we can continue to talk about building more, but unless we get real serious about protecting what's there, are you really building more and just replacing
Right.
what you're losing from deterioration? So.
No, that's very good input, John, and I think it reflects a broad consensus in, you know, in the budget people at the city and the county. We can talk about that.
Kelly?
Yeah, I just want to understand a little bit. So what I think I heard was that the $400,000 is requested for 2025, but not subsequent years.
We have
600.
400,
No, well, $1.4 million
but then
and $1.1 million is 600.
yeah, and
right?
then it'd be
Times
the
two.
new position and the
Okay,
website,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
and the ongoing cost for the website. Yeah, we don't have that in yet. We can do that. Maybe not.
I think that'd be a great question to ask the boards during the budget conversations, is whether to amend the 5-year budget to include those.
No, that's great.
What is the unallocated revenues?
I did have that. Where's that? That is some of the management fee. No, we have the management fees. That's stuff like the application fees and some of the
We get application fee, we get management fees for overseeing at Truscott, both Truscotts, Merle, Smuggler, and Aspen Country Inn. It has to do with the fees that we get from our sales revenue. Management fees are different. Those are from that. And unallocated revenues have to do with the sales fees that we get when we sell the units, the
Application fees.
application fees for everything that we get. And so it's mainly those things that we get revenue. We also receive revenue from like this is, but that's another management fee. Centennial pays us a quarterly fee for qualifying everybody. So that's part of that as well. We also get a specific revenue from the apartments that are down next to Stubby's down in Basalt, because they were able to get a lower loan because the housing authority went with them as a partner, so we get fees from that as well.
I remember
So
that.
there's different things like that we get additional revenues from.
And you kind of offset your expenses, it looks like, by those revenues that come
Yes.
in, right? So we've got facilities maintenance that doesn't match up line item by line item,
Right.
but your revenue kind of overcomes some of that, right? Okay. Kelly, sorry. You're too polite, just speak up.
No, that's okay. It's on to a different thing. I don't know if I'm getting ahead in the discussion, so if I am, please just tell me. But I'm curious about, is the capital projects part of what is in the increase from 2024 to 2025 as well? I'm just unclear if those get drawn down on the specific funds that APCHA manages, or if that's the request to both boards for supporting this capital program.
That's a separate fund, Kelly, so that's not part of the overall operating budget.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I can talk briefly. So we are getting in on a giant asphalt situation with the whole city of Aspen. So we're going to be re-asphalting all the APCHA managed properties, which is about $1.3 million. That's what it'll cost the city to redo the APCHA properties. They're in pretty bad shape. And then the other one, which I'm pleased with, is redoing the playground at Truscott. Other than that, it's pretty routine maintenance.
And those come out of those specific budgets, Kelly. So the paving, we have it's allocated per square footage. So the T2 budget will pay, and the T2 budget and the T1 budget, they're splitting for Truscott. Smuggler Mountain Apartments, which is owned by the Housing Authority, we're doing that parking lot as well. So that does come out of that smuggler budget, which that is one that definitely needs approval by the board, since you guys own that property. So all of that is under their specific budgets. It doesn't come as part of what the county has to come up with as to that 50% of the APCHA program itself. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what that makes sense to me, because I do understand how those funds work. I just wasn't, I think maybe where I'm not clear is what the increased ask is gonna be of the BOCC. I just like to think about those requests before they get there and help shepherd them through. So can you what is the total increase from 2024 to 2025?
It's
Coming to the BOCC this year?
it's that delta there. That's about, I think it's about 1 point.
You're asking 1.7, right?
So I saw the 1.4 is total. I just don't remember what we
Yeah, it's
put in for this year.
Yeah.
so it'd be 200,000 for the essential repairs, half of the new position.
Okay, and then half
Yeah,
the website.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay, I'm clear.
Plus
Thank you.
I think
the
that-
inflation multiplier
yeah,
as well.
I think the subsidy for 2024 is around 900,
Okay,
high 800 or 900 per entity, if I remember correctly.
okay. And then we could put in the additional 200 on top of that, and so that's the gap. Okay, thank you.
And then we'll bring this back for a formal resolution in December for the board and also for Smuggler Mountain Apartments. And I'll be talking to the City Council and the Board of County Commissioners in October.
Do we present a balance sheet too? Do we have a balance sheet that goes along with it?
This is what I got from the city.
We can check with the finance
The only
department,
reason
puts
I
all of this
ask is I
together.
guess I'd like to see, I thought we had a reserve for protecting,
Yeah,
There is.
there is, I think that's on the other side of not on the operating budget, I think.
no, yeah, that's what I mean.
That's on
We
the,
gotta have a balance sheet or
on the
something with assets.
individual properties,
Right, okay.
which are owned by the city, so they aren't covered as part of the overall operating expense.
There's a certain requirement for
Yeah.
a certain reserve that we have to carry, and that's the reserve, I think, is a line item in the budget itself.
Well, yeah, but
But-
that's like a ending fund balance really is what
Right.
your $100,000 or something you're adding to the fund balance,
Yeah.
but so we should have a balance sheet that shows
I've got that. I'll get that to you, John.
Any further questions on the budget? All right. There's nothing to do with this. We're not.
No, we'll do a resolution in December, but you guys wanted to see it much earlier in the process, so that's what we're doing.
But it doesn't matter if we have the special session with the state and probably a vote at some point. This budget could change, couldn't it?
I mean, it could, but it doesn't.
Anyway, that's interesting. All right, that's it for budget discussion. Last item on the agenda for tonight is review of City of Aspen Affordable Housing Strategic Plan. Liz?
All right, I did bring copies, but prepared for more in-person board members. So happy to give you one though if you want one. And John, you've received a version of this presentation, but it'll be a little bit more condensed today.
Yay.
So let me just share my screen. I just need to be able to share. So I'll throw up some slides.
There you go.
Sweet. Okay, so today I'm going to go over the city's updated affordable housing strategic plan. And actually, here we go. So this was requested at the last board meeting to just give a run through of what this update included, everything in it, and also APCHA's role within the city's affordable housing strategic plan. So I'm just going to cover what's changed from the version of the plan that was first adopted in 2022 from this 2024 version, plus just give details on the APCHA specific action items within there and how the city and APCHA fit together within those action items as well. And so as a reminder, this is the City of Aspen's and City Council's affordable housing strategic plan. But APCHA has a pivotal role in it, in that APCHA manages over 3,000 deed-restricted units, and whereas there's room for collaboration, but also acknowledging that there are city councilors on the APCHA board, too, who are working towards those items, and also the role that APCHA staff have within the City of Aspen as well, and that it is housing department, too. So I'm just going to run through them. And so just to cover what the original plan was. So in 2022, City Council at the time, they adopted this 500 unit goal. Oops, my bad. Well, there we go. And worked together to come up with 14 different action items that would work towards more affordable housing for our community. And within there was 4 action items originally that were owned by APCHA. And so with this update, with different information that came out, changes in goals and city council and resources, a comprehensive update was needed. And so with this update, we extended the timeline from 2026 to 2028. There's going to be a change in the overall unit goal, which I'll show you too. So a decrease originally from that 500 unit goal, just based on resources. Adding 3 new action items as well, one of which is owned by APCHA. And then also just this plan within it is when you go through it, it has all 17 action items, and we updated all the action items to reflect the current work and progress being made on each of those as well. And so this updated plan was adopted formally by City Council at the beginning of July also. So as you see here, this is on page 11 of the strategic plan, and it shows just all 17 action items within the city's affordable housing strategic plan. And so with this 2024 update, we added in 3 new action items, which are community land trusts, which the city is working on, a deed restriction purchase program, which the city is considering, and then also we split apart. Originally, there was an action item that was just about the sustainability of APCHA units, which is what we were just talking about. So investing in infrastructure and longevity of those units. And we split them off into 2 action items. So we have one that focuses on single family home units and how we can incentivize and support investing in each individual unit. And then we split off an HOA action item that's specifically considering the common elements in supporting homeowners associations and investing in the infrastructure of our properties, just so we were treating those differently. And so in this plan, originally there was this whole prioritization matrix in the last strategic plan, and this time we just took that out because, as you see, there's a lot of different departments, including APCHA, that are working towards these, and it was just didn't make sense to have a priority matrix like that. So, and if anyone has questions, you're also welcome to jump in as we go. Happy to field them just as we go.
Liz, can you just elaborate a little bit on what the community land trust item is?
Yeah, of course. And right now it's in very early stages. So a community land trust, it holds the land and keeps the land affordable. And the idea there is that by keeping the land affordable, and that's the prices of those homes won't appreciate nearly as much, and it makes it more affordable for those owners to purchase it. So right now, the city has hired a consultant to research the feasibility of a community land trust in the city of Aspen. So it's still in really early stages, and the city also received a grant from DOLA to conduct that research as well. So there's not too much else to say beyond that right now. Hopefully later this fall, they'll have at least completed the feasibility study for that project.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Any other questions? Okay, I'll keep going. All right, and then also, so in this updated plan, we updated the affordable housing goal. And so this is on page 12 of our strategic plan, just to show how many units we've actually achieved since implementation, where the number of our goal decreased, and then also with that, now what's our goal looking at 2028. And so as you see, over 100 units have been achieved since 2022, which is huge. A large part is through Burlingame Phase 3, which a lot of folks at the city and APCHA worked together really hard to make possible. And then along with this, there are 2 items in there that are APCHA specific that show increases in units. So we have the right sizing program, which we decreased the goal just given uptake in that program. And we can talk more about that a little later too. And then also compliance actions. And the thing about compliance actions is that while that doesn't really create units or anything, the idea there is that we are making sure there are qualified owners and tenants in
now,
units.
the other one we missed big on goal was deed restrictions.
Yeah.
Right? Part of this is probably as much community outreach, doing some education about the benefit of a new deed restriction. I think I saw something recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of educating in the buy down. I don't know how much we've actually done on not the buy down, but the right sizing that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Have we done enough?
I know.
I mean, those are huge hits. Go from 200 to 4.
Well, the one with the expiring deed restrictions. So previously the idea was that we were going to, because we have like 300 something expiring deed restrictions. The thing is that APCHA actually has an automatic process. Whenever one of those properties overturns, APCHA momentarily holds it and is able to just replace the deed restriction. So the idea there is that we're going to keep monitoring that number, but actually we think we can recapture most of those on a longer time frame versus by 2028, just through that natural turnover process, basically. I know Matthew's been talking with communications about advertising, updating your own deed restriction too, and
Meg's actually going to be working on a nice
Maggie's-
graphic for it.
yeah.
She is working on a nice graphic for it.
So
To,
we're on that too, and through the pilot grant program too, we had someone update their deed restriction that had an expiring deed restriction, since that was a requirement to be eligible.
So, and then on compliance,
Liz,
sorry, Peter, go ahead.
well, just to follow up on what John was speaking to, where it says development neutral, APCHA, incentivize voluntary right sizing or move. And Matthew touched on this at the beginning of the meeting with the feedback they got at the coffee event. People saying that they'd like to move out, but they can't. And we've discussed this before, but you know, right there, it's pretty stark. The goal was 30 and we've achieved 2. So you said you'd highlight in this where APCHA is involved. Is the council going to be looking for APCHA to, what are they going to be looking to APCHA for related to incentivizing the voluntary right-sizing program?
Well, so right now in APCHA's work plan, we have evaluate the future of the right sizing program, because ultimately that program is up to the APCHA board. It's in the APCHA regulations administered by it. So I think by it being in the city's strategic plan, is showing the city's support for that program, but ultimately it is a program administered by the APCHA board. So when we have future conversations about it, it will be the APCHA board's decision of what to ask for the other entities.
And another thing that we're working on, Peter, is we would like to bring forward some policy changes that relate to possibly the appreciation, because right now most of the units appreciated 3% or the consumer price index, whichever is less. Right now you don't get any credit for if your HOA does capital improvements. Those are policy changes that we can talk to the board about. So that's something that when we bring forward, if the board agrees to that, we can change in the deed restrictions, and those are more incentives for people to go under a new deed restriction as well. So we're hoping that that will also provide more people that want to go under a new deed restriction, especially some of the ones that are under an older one that they're kind of capped out of the capital improvements that they can do. So those are I think those are some of the kind of things that the board can do, is really that we can bring forward to you, is looking at some of the policy changes.
Yeah, that really hit the nail on the head, in that there are other tools in the toolkit that APCHA has direct access to provide incentives as well.
Can I make one more comment related to what John was talking about, as far as preserving units? And just an idea, but I think it'd be great to kind of have a goal for how many units we're going to try and preserve through these grants, and what do we do with the capital reserves program in terms of helping HOAs preserve units that are deteriorating.
Well, the best development neutral solution for a lot of this is figure out a way to incentivize people to move, and maybe there's got to be some sort of incentive for certain retirees, older people that lived in their units a long time, to move so they can afford wherever they want to move, Grand Junction or something. They move out of the valley. We talked about, I've talked about it ad nauseum a little bit. It's just more units isn't always the solution. It's figuring out ways to get people out of units that they really feel stuck in, and getting families that want to be here and work and provide for the community into them. So, sorry, Liz.
No, that's great. All right. So next I'm just going to go into the 5 action items that APCHA's point on, and some of it we've already kind of talked about, but we can go into it a little more if we want. So first is the voluntary downsizing or move. This one right now really is focused on right sizing, but there is, in the plan itself, there is discussion about, right now we're researching the feasibility of a move as well, if that's an option to incentivize a move. But so the goal here is just optimize the bedrooms in the APCHA inventory. So as you all know, you all approved the right sizing program April 2023. There's been 1 successful swap out of that program, and then the other successful swap was from the pilot at Burlingame 3 that the city implemented. And so, I mean, it's in the work plan you all just approved that we're looking to evaluate the future of that program in the coming year, and whether how to make it work better or other options as well. Okay, keep going. The next action item APCHA has in there is compliance actions. So there's a lot of progress has been made in the compliance in recent years, including hiring Jackie, the compliance analyst, and all the audits that she's been doing through APCHA. The biennial affidavit is a big part of compliance at APCHA as well, and we so that was last one was in April 2023, and so this is an APCHA item also because all of compliance rules and regulations are determined by the APCHA board.
Can you
And
go back to, 2 slides ago when you had that multicolored chart?
yep,
And one of them was compliance, right? Where is it now?
yeah,
our
there is
goal
APCHA
was-
compliance
Goal was
actions.
15. We achieved 5 so far.
Yeah, so the idea there is that like someone who is out of compliance sold their unit, and
So that isn't just checking compliance and doing spot checks. That's, we came up with an issue and we
Right.
we came to a resolution.
We have a case right now where Jackie found through the audit, somebody has declined to give us the required documents, and we have said, okay, well, we're going to move to the next level, and then this person has said, okay, whatever, I'm going to sell it. So that's an example of how
Well,
we
I
can
mean,
get.
is a better goal number of audits versus compliance actions, right? I mean, I hope we have no compliance actions. That'd be
Yeah.
living in nirvana, right? You're gonna have a few, but I think the bigger goal is doing more audits, checking, making sure we're holding people accountable and bringing some real transparency and some, drawing a blank for a word, but to the system, right?
Yeah, that's great because the goal isn't like we're not trying to kick people out or anything. But then there's cases where people come back into compliance too, and that's still now another person in compliance. But yeah, we could have a goal in there for the number of audits conducted or.
I know we did more in 2020, what year are we in, 2024, than what we had planned. I know Jackie already
Yeah,
did, because I
Jackie
think we were
really
gonna do like
front-loaded it.
5 a month or something like that, and she did a lot more than that,
We
so,
expect the new guy to be
yeah.
motivated.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we could, that's
Yeah,
something that we
just to-
can.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Peter, sorry.
I just wanted to clarify that the affidavits are only for sale for ownership units, and compliance is monitored regularly based in rentals just on having to, is it requalify every 2 years?
Yeah, you have to
Yes.
requalify every 2 years. So that, that's the main goal, but we can also do it before that. Well, then they've signed a lease, so it's a little harder, but we can address other compliance issues on rentals, short-term rentals, that kind of thing. We can address that as well through the compliance process.
I mean, to me, it's the ownership, because that's
Right.
the long-term contract, right? You sign, they own.
And that's the audits
You don't
and the
get a chance to
affidavits.
go renew a lease every 2 years or whatever, every year. It's more, those are the affidavits where you're, yep, I
Right.
work in
Right.
whatever, right? And
And just to let you know, we're also working on, I don't know if Bethany's still on, but she's looked at what Snowmass is doing. And Snowmass, when they do their audits, they actually ask them to upload employment verification form, things like that. So we are looking at expanding our affidavit program, I believe, in 2025, when that comes our second year, or because this is the second year that we did them in 2023. Now, again, we'll do them in 2025. So we're looking at actually requesting additional information for when they fill out that affidavit.
Right. Keep on going then. The next category is kind of a catch-all. So what else can APCHA do to increase efficiency and continue improving the program, basically. So always examining policies to maintain the maximum number of individuals in a unit and continuing the program. So through this is a lot of this is relates to what Cindy was just talking about, and what regulation changes or policies can we pass to improve the program or incentivize maximizing our units. And there's been examples of this in the past, like when we decreased dependent age. So that was a policy that fell into this realm. But so the main actions here are continuing to bring regulation changes to the board as needed, and how those support our other action items and the work that APCHA does. And another big one on this is how we can keep using home check data, because that's still fairly new for us too, and how can we use that to leverage our decision making as well. So Then next, the last two are both the sustainability of units focused items. So first we have the one that's more focused on the individual units. So how can we invest in the lifespan of our housing supply and make it last as long as we can? And so these all have been programs administered through APCHA, supported by the county and the city though, like the grant program. So that's a big one on there is the Essential Repair Pilot Grant Program, which we're launching phase 2 in 2025, as long as all the budgets get approved. And then along with that, doing home inspection reports for units and also APCHA's work with repairing units, like the couple at is it Woody Creek?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at Woody Creek that APCHA's purchased and is repairing and going to resell into the inventory. And then along with that, like we were talking about earlier, there's that new deed restriction that allows for essential repairs beyond the 10% capital improvement cap. And
Well, is that really essential repairs? Isn't that capital improvements?
With regards to,
The
with
last
the
bullet
deed
point?
restriction.
it's, yes, that is capital improvements.
That's not
Yeah,
repairs.
it's not essential, well,
Repairs
you
shouldn't
could
add
classify it
anything
as
to your
essential
value.
repairs, but, yeah.
Right, the repairs shouldn't add anything to your value. You're
It's,
fixing your
no.
roof,
If
right?
if it's just a normal replacement or repair, they're not a capital improvement. It has to be what we classify as a capital improvement. And we've allowed
Somebody buys a
new
unit.
stuff on, we've allowed a couple of different things on there. Before, we didn't have flooring, and we are, under the new deed restriction, we allow flooring, but everything depreciates down. And flooring has a very short life. So most flooring only, it depreciates down over basically between a 5 to 7 year period of
Right, so
time.
somebody buys a unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get 10% of their purchase price to do something, whatever.
Right.
They've done their 10%, 10 years later, their floor's gone to whatever, they need it, whatever, and they want to do another 10%, or they want to make some more improvements, they can come to you, hey, I'll sign this new deed restriction.
Not only that,
But those aren't essential repairs, I think that's just the
Right.
wrong terminology.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
How it
Yeah.
should,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you have to also remember that the capital improvements that you did depreciate down. So if you used your $10,000 and it depreciates down and now you have $2,000 or $8,000 brand new, or that it's now you only get credit for $2,000. You have that additional $8,000 to redo. So it does keep growing once as your what you've done depreciates down, if that makes any sense.
Clear as mud.
Thanks for clarifying that, by the way. All right. And then the last one is the one that's focused just on the HOA capital reserves. So similar, but looking at just the infrastructure of properties and how we can support HOAs in maintaining their capital reserves and maintaining their properties in the long term. So the capital reserve studies that APCHA's funded are underway. We finished all the on-site assessments last week. So all of those are complete, and that now the next phase of that project is the consultant RD3 is going to be compiling their actual reserve studies, and part of our contract is that they're going to be meeting with HOA representatives and helping them create plans and pathways forward. And they're also going to be doing a more compiled report for APCHA as well, so we can see a bigger overview of how the reserve studies went.
How many HOAs took advantage and
Well, originally we had 33 signed up, but ultimately I think we ended up having 30 participate out of like 50-ish HOAs.
pretty good, 60%?
Yeah, it's better. It's a few more than participated in 2010 at least, but there were a few HOAs that declined to participate that we had hoped to participate.
We get high-level data, kind of,
We hope so.
overall.
Yeah, the idea is so we have an idea of like what some of the biggest like pain points and issues are for HOAs, and maybe there's some common ones there, and then also the scope of what's the overall deficit look like for HOAs, kind of like this, similar to the last study.
Okay.
Yeah. Along with that, in this area, hiring Meg was some progress made, since Meg's going to be working with HOAs and going to be a support system for them. And then also ongoing like training and other opportunities for HOAs. Like in October, we have
Molly coming up.
Yeah, we have the HOA lawyer coming to do a workshop for HOAs to come and attend. So yeah, doing more of that as well. So that's where we're at, and that's everything I had. So I'm happy to answer any additional questions, and you can pick up, if you want, paper copies of this. They're at City Hall, but also I put a link to it on the packet.
Questions for Liz?
Okay.
If we hurry up. So what happened there?
I guess I have a general comment
That was a dog.
that the timing of when we put together our work plan and the city council puts together or revises updates their strategic plan, how does that work? Because ideally isn't our work plan folding into the strategic plan, or vice versa? We're getting direction from council or the county on what things their plan is, and we can see how we can, work together on those goals.
Yeah. There is a lot of overlap in the work outlined in this plan and also what APCHA is doing, but I do think they're just separate documents, and that this is the city documenting their progress and objectives and goals in the realm of affordable housing, and then APCHA has their own work plan as well. And there's some overlap in there, but also it gets into the more specifics of what APCHA does as an organization.
Well, but our work plan certainly can be influenced by these goals, right?
In terms of priorities.
There is overlap almost between every single one and what the work plan of what you guys approved tonight. And I know that beginning next year is the time when we're readdressing our 5-year strategic plan. So that's another thing that the board will be working on, is the actual 5-year strategic plan in 2025.
So maybe it can help look to this. But also, I mean, this document we don't really foresee being updated like on a regular basis like APCHA's work plan is as well. So I don't know when the next time that will come up, but versus the work plan that's done on an annual basis.
Well, yeah, strategic plan is a long-lived document, right? And then you make changes along the way as something times out or whatever else. Okay. Thank you, Liz. Appreciate it. And that is it for the board agenda. John's got his hand raised, or somebody does. Matthew.
We skipped over it a little bit in my comments, and that's my fault, but I just would.
No, you're done. You can't come
look
back.
for a bit of feedback on the idea of going to once a month, and if that's something we'd like to explore, or if it's a terrible idea, or because we feel quite strongly that it would be very useful for staff and for the reasons laid out in the memo. So I just was looking for a bit of.
I mean, we've talked about it, but I think we should. That's something where we should have more than just us four, right?
Yeah.
I understand the logic behind it.
Okay, so we can.
We can put it on the agenda for a discussion item.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I think that's fair. All right. That's it for the agenda. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? I'm going to make him second online.
Second.
Kelly?
All those, I have a second. Discussion? No discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Okay. Peter? Was that a yes?
You were on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. Kelly?
Boomer.
Yes.
John Doyle?
Yes.
John Ward?
Yes, ma'am. We are adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.